All right, we are here live with our very first Avi,
What's going on, Dave?
our very first Let's Go emergency
Oh,
podcast. Let's try it again.
I
Let's try
usually
it
do it
again.
the other way around.
We are here with our very first.
Let's go!
Shlomo, can we get a let's go out of you?
Let's go.
You
Wasn't
guys
that
need a
long
little more
enough.
coffee. This is our very first. We've done 12 podcasts.
Dave,
This is our very first
don't you
emergency podcast.
Don't you usually first say with our 12th podcast of usually? I feel like there's something off with what you said right there.
Should we do this again?
No. Keep it. This is great. This is great content. I don't like awkward content.
This is what everybody's tuning in for.
Yeah, let me 1 second.
All right, we are here for the 12th episode
Yeah.
of the.
So usually you give the episode first. You heard that? Did the guys hear that?
Okay.
1 second. Look at this. Listen to this.
All right, we are here for the 12th episode of the.
If you play this back, Dave, you just said we are here for the, and then you blanked out. You should say we are here for the first ever emergency, and then I go, let's go. So usually it's the number.
Let's do it again. We are here for the first ever emergency
Let's go!
podcast. Perfect. So the reason we're having an emergency is that I was getting a lot of heat. I was getting a lot of hungry, angry hippos. Hippos are dangerous animals coming at me. So Shlomo, why don't you fill in our audience with what's going on?
Yeah. So thanks for having me on, first of all. But also, so I was listening to the podcast with Mendy Warsh. And at the very end, you had your predictions for how our game against the Robins was going to go. Doug,
I actually have it written down right here.
Oh,
So,
okay.
My handy dandy notepad.
What do you have written
I have
down?
written down that Dave had the Hippos losing to the Robins in 6 innings, 13-1.
Yeah. So that did not sound too
right there. You
great.
see the 13-1.
Mendy Warch said 11-5. What did Edelman say?
I didn't get predictions. I got a lot of slack from I forgot who it was from. Somebody messaged me after saying that they're very upset that I didn't give my own predictions. Which is why I gave predictions yesterday. I can give a prediction at the end of this episode if you want.
Yeah, there was no prediction. It was more of just that the Hippos may have caught in a break.
I did say
that
I did say the Hippos may have caught a break.
Time it seemed like wasn't fully there.
Yeah.
So just to go through like all those different points, for in terms of our last round game against Donnie's team, so they were missing 2 big players. What wasn't discussed was that the Hippos were also missing 3 of our players.
By the way, I predicted the Hippos to win that game.
Oh, okay, cool. So we're good.
Right, Avi?
I could check my handy dandy notebook again.
It's very official, as Brian Cohen said. Avi's very official blue notepad.
With the
I don't have your predictions down on here. I just have the Titan League predictions on here.
I'll go to the video. I actually know that I predicted it because Joey Katz messaged me after that massive disrespect for the Rumble Ponies. So I know I picked the Hungry Hippos, so it's not like I have it out for the Hippos. But anyway.
Right, yeah. But so the Hippos last game, we were missing 3 of our outfielders. So we moved Zalman Moses from second base to left field, who played a great game in left field. And then we had my brother, who's like 47. This season was the first time that he's played softball.
Is this Usher?
No, this is Aryeh.
Aryeh.
Yeah, so it's the first time that he's played softball in 15 years.
Wait, Usher Ross is your brother?
Yeah.
He's the one who was my catcher Monday nights now?
Monday nights. That's how I was on your team that other week.
Oh, very cool. That's so funny. I didn't put 2 and 2 together. Okay.
So, and Aryeh's not necessarily, exercise isn't really his thing. So we were, if you asked him, he would say that after 30, you're not allowed to exercise. So running in the outfield, not spectacular. So he was very glad to be in right field and not have many plays to him. But that's what our outfield was: me, Aryeh, and then Zalman Moses. So we were playing a little shorthanded as well, and like we overcame that challenge to beat them.
You guys played 9-9, right?
Yeah.
That explains the high scoring game.
Yeah, so there were a couple of runs scored because of
This is
that.
the Scheinman game?
Yeah,
They
they
played
had a very
Miami.
interesting strategy defensively. They decided they were going to play mostly 4 outfielders and no second baseman, which may have cost them in the end. But then I also heard the 13-1 prediction ending in 6 innings. And I think a lot of that score was based off of our first matchup with the Robins. But there was a lot that wasn't really
One second, what are
told.
you setting the record straight about the Rumble Ponies game? What?
Oh, it was
I'm
just
not. I'm missing the juice here.
that was just Avi saying that we need to
I called out the Hippos for saying that they sort of got very lucky that they just barely beat the Rumble Ponies because the Rumble Ponies were missing 2 of their top guys.
We've
So I was implying
wow,
that the Rumble Ponies
You're really not a nice guy. I didn't realize that.
I was implying if the Rumble Ponies had their top guys, the Hippos really wouldn't have much of a chance. And I also said I think that that I was sort of rooting for the Rumble Ponies to win because I think they would have given the Robins a harder time. So I really gave the Hippos a large beatdown, very quietly, but quiet but deadly, I guess.
Yeah, there was a little bit of disrespect there, but it was like the 13-1 was definitely way worse.
What was the score last time in the Robins game?
So it was 13-1, but there's a lot that hasn't been told about that game. So the first inning of the last game, with 2 outs, the Robins didn't have a run. They had a runner on first and second, 2 outs, bottom of the first, and then all of a sudden, either our pitcher could no longer fight in the strike zone, or the strike zone in the Legacy League shifted a little bit where it wasn't from knees to shoulders as it says in the rule book. I went maybe from like belt to chest. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't want to like call anybody out or anything, but
call him out. Call him out, Mr. Ross.
But the bottom line.
This is a no holds barred podcast.
Yeah, say what you got to say.
There were just playing shortstop that game. I can't tell you whether the ball was off the plate or on the plate, but high or low, everything was within.
Who was the ump in that game?
Yosef
it was Yosef Fine.
Yeah, Yosef, and he's like overall, I think he's a great ump. In terms of getting out to the bases, trying to be in the right spot for every call. Like he makes that effort to really to be on top of the game and like try to make the calls the right way. I think the strike zone just got away from him a little bit that inning.
You think you think it got away in terms of what? In terms of what he thought the rules are, or in terms of just the calling of the pitches?
The calling of the pitches. I think it was like I think if you go from one league to the next, like the strike zone. I think the Titan League has a tighter strike zone, because the pitchers are better. Yeah. So when you go from
the rule book, Titan League is letters to knees, and Legacy's armpits to knees.
Yeah. So like the pitching. So I think that like switching from one to the other might have gotten lost a little bit, and so pitches that you would think were strikes weren't called that. And I think some of the Robins would also agree with that assessment.
Dave, you remember that game? We had
I now remember. Brian reached out to us after the game.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a huddle. I was in Florida. I remember. I was by the pool, and we had a little conversation about this.
Yeah.
So I'll be working hard from the pool in Florida.
I'm getting a call from Dovey Schwartz, but I'm not gonna pick up because he's part of the Burger Hicks got eliminated, so he will play no role in this podcast as he has been eliminated from the playoffs. So we'll have no.
Oh boy! Now you're throwing shade. At Burger Hicks. Avi, we're digging ourselves into more and more hot water.
Still calling. I can still pick up. Should I pick up?
Let's keep focus on Shlomo for now.
Sorry, I get distracted.
All right, go ahead. But yeah, with the Robins, so they scored 11 runs with 2 outs in the first inning. So after that, for the rest of that game where we lost 13-1, they only scored 2 runs. They beat us 2-1 the rest of that game.
But one second, 11 runs you're blaming on a strike zone?
Yes. They I think they had 2 hits with 2 outs in the first inning.
And how many walks?
Calculate the walks.
Like 8 walks kind of thing.
It was a lot. There was a threat.
If that's true, by the way, then I hear what Shlomo was saying. I mean, if there was really 9 walks and 2 hits, which led to 8 or 9 of the runs, how many runs they scored, Listen, I'm not saying that they, I'm not saying it was a fluke loss, but that makes somewhat of a difference.
Yeah, like the
It does.
Robins are a
And
great team, and it's going to be a tough game this week. But like the rest of that game was 2-1.
So
So
I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I don't want to throw some more shade at the Hippos as we're trying to actually this emergency podcast is trying to defend the Hippos, but we have the Titan League Championship this week in West Hempstead High School, games 1 and 2. It's a best of 3. So I was talking to Dave earlier. I was saying, listen, I don't know. I'm not too intrigued. Like I was saying, I sort of wish the Black Sox crew game was at Chestnut, so I could hop over there and watch a little bit of that game. Cause I'm not so intrigued by the Hippos Robins game. Now you're making me a little more intrigued.
This is a damage control episode, and you're doing more and more damage.
The Hippos are taking all this bulletin board material. We're taking all this disrespect, and we're just gonna show you guys like what we're really made of.
No, but I was actually skipping a comment to Shlomo. I was saying now that he's saying what he's saying, I'm a little more intrigued. Maybe to stop by Listen, it'll be easier for me to go by Chestnut for 45 minutes and travel to North Woodmere and then come back to the West Hempstead after.
Yeah.
And
I'm looking forward to the highlights of the Hippos. Like waiting for you to put us on the status, like huge upset.
By the way, the only game I had with the Hippos, I think one of the only games was the big win over the Black Sox.
Black Sox and the Pandas. When we beat them
and the Pandas, right? But there was a big win over the Black Sox. I remember vividly in Lawrence.
So I want to go back to something for a second. So Yosef Fine has been getting. I just want to also point out he's been getting rave reviews generally, and I think he's learning the ropes. It's his first year as an umpire. I think what's very good about him is he's receptive to feedback. But I would agree with Avi that
I also want to clear the air. Yosef Fine did not get a speeding ticket. It was his registration expired that day. Which, speaking of that, my registration is currently expired also, and I think he's inspiring me to go get it updated. But I just wanted to clear that because he messaged me after. It was not a.
You're gonna get. I'm surprised you didn't get a ticket already, Avi.
I did. I got one.
The meter maids, they're out there.
I got one a couple weeks ago, and
6 a.m. on the 1st of the month, they're out there scanning registrations, giving tickets.
Yeah.
So, remind me of your pitcher's name again, Shlomo.
Gabi Kessler.
Right, Gabi Kessler. So he's a professional guy. So the notion that he'd give up 9 walks in a game is in an inning is. Wait a second. You said there were 2 hits and 11 runs.
I think with 2 outs, there were 2 hits, maybe 3.
We're really talking about 8-9 walks. So you guys are standing in the field for 45 minutes, just walk after.
It was brutal.
And Gabi and Gabi's not long. Right. I guess. Normally, when a pitcher walks 3-4 guys in a row, most teams will make an ump change. Freudian slip. Will make a pitcher change. But you're saying the scenario was such that he was hitting spots. Yosef was just being really, really tight, really tight.
That's the way that I saw it from shortstop. And I turned to some guys like as they were getting to second while they're on their merry-go-round around the bases. I was like, that pitch looked like a strike, and they were like, we were just told not to swing because he's calling everything a ball. So that's just things that I was told by players on that team at the time. There was a point where like Gabi was getting a little heated and Yosef was getting a little heated. It was the game was getting a little intense. So I was doing my best to calm Gabi down and then go over to Yosef and just be like, hey, just saying hi so that you're like, we're not just yelling at you the entire time, but I think you're getting some of these calls wrong. But then after that, like everything just settled down, like between us and Yosef. And I really do think that he's doing a great job overall. There was just 1 inning, and that's what led to this narrative of us being way worse than the Robins.
All right, so the narrative is being corrected now. Is shortstop your typical position?
No, I usually play center field.
Malik. I thought so. I was wondering why you said shortstop. Okay, why were you playing shortstop that game?
Malik went away for Pesach, so couldn't. No, he was just away. Yeah.
What a
Mordechai Wade, who only played 5 games and missed qualifying for some. He wouldn't have won anything, but he would have finished in the top 5 or 6. So once
by the end of that,
go ahead.
By the end of the season, he was more focused on trying to hit the ball the other way more than his stats. But so that affected his stats a little bit.
Why was he looking to hit it the other way?
Just to think give himself like get that confidence to go to right field when he wants. Um, we felt like we were in a good place going forward, so he wanted to just practice that while he could. But then in the playoffs, he turned it on with what would have been a home run. He slipped going around third, and so it was tagged out. But it would have been a 3-run homer. It was a 2-run triple in a huge spot, and then they didn't pitch to him the rest of the game. So then we had Brian behind him. Then I was backing Brian up, and the bottom of our order really came through.
Nice. So, I'm looking at your stats. I mean, not your stats, the standings. There are other reasons you're probably getting a little shade thrown your way. Your team's run differential is 47 scored, 72 allowed. And then you look at the Robins, it's 99-18. So when you kind of put those pieces together, somebody looks at this and thinks, this is going to be a beatdown.
Yeah, for sure. And, like, there's definitely reasons to believe that. But, like, 13 of those runs against us and 13 of those runs for the Robins were in that first inning or during that game. So,
and were there any other lopsided games?
Yeah, for the Robins.
For the Hungry Hippos.
Any game that we really lost bad, I think it was just the Robins and the Crew. But even the Crew, like, we gave up a bunch of runs in the first 2 innings. I think we were down 9-0 after 2, and then we lost 11-5. So the problem with our team is that we get off to a rough start. After that, like, we bear down. Even in the game against the Black Sox, I think after like the 4th inning, our defense really tightened up, and like you saw.
Yes, and we were not focused, and you guys were much more focused.
Yeah, so as the games go on for the Hippos, we really tighten up and like play our best defense.
Any idea? I just got a message from Ariel Cohen. He's watching the podcast. When you played the Robins, do you know if you were the away team or the home team?
We were the away team. I think we've only been on the home team like twice or 3 times. That there's definitely at least that's the way it felt. Like the first game against Impact, we were the away team. Then we were the home team, and then I don't remember being the home team until the very end of the season.
Because something I was gonna say is being home team is obviously an advantage, but I actually learned this from one of the Goldenberg kids.
Who, by the way, won't be playing this week.
This week.
Should also factor in.
Right.
I agree. I think Dave was a little premature in its prediction, to be honest. I think Dave was trying to spark some people, trying to spark some fire under the Hippos. I think Dave deep down is trying to, get the Hippos to, get some fire under themselves.
So I was going to say, being the home team, 8 a.m. Sunday morning, especially Shabbos ending almost 10 o'clock now, I don't necessarily want to be in the field right away. I want 5-10 minutes for my team to, start getting a little bit active. Because I've been the recipient of just not being ready in the field 8 a.m. on a Sunday when you're the home team. It's not so easy.
Yeah. The flip side to that is usually the home team is the one pushing for the game to start. And they're usually the ones that are like, okay, let's go. And so if you're the away team and you don't have, if your 10th guy is like still on his way and there's no time limit to the game or something like that, then there's that extra pressure to like, how do you construct your lineup with this guy who's on the way and he says he's 2 minutes away, but he's 7 minutes away, things like that. So as the home team,
now I make people send me your location marker so I know if they're BSing me or not.
Definitely gonna have to do. Well, West Ham said we don't necessarily have to do that as bad, but like last week at College Point, like everybody was running late. So, like that's the difference. Like that's where the home team versus away team. Like the home team controls when the game starts most of the time.
So Shlomo, we have a little time left. Now that we've got that out of the way, that me and Avi were just being disrespectful. Let's talk about you a little bit. First of all, I noticed the Israeli flag behind you, representing, very beautiful. And then Am Yisrael Chai, and bring them home. On top of that, I see a baseball bat. What you got over there?
So I went to a Cyclones game in 2011, I think. And while me and my sister, while we were waiting outside the clubhouse for like autographs and stuff, a guy on like the single A Yankees walked by me, and I just went for it. I was like, "Hey, can I have your bat?" And he just handed it to me. No clue who the player was. Could be, it definitely wasn't Judge, but like could be just like a superstar in the league, or he could be a guy who the next day was plumbing. I don't know, but I have his bat now, so it's up there.
You should get a nice plaque and put it up there like Aaron Judge, first ever swing in the single A.
Well,
I think 2011 is too old to be Aaron Judge, but whatever it is, you should do some math. He was on the team then and put a little plaque underneath.
I guess in the single A level, the bats aren't they don't have the name of the player on it. I think at the MLB level they do.
Yeah. So this had like in the cup of the bat, there's like some writing in it, like a number or something, but I don't know if it was the player's number or anything. I was just standing out there because Corey Vaughn was on the Cyclones and he was tearing it up that year, so I was trying to get his autograph, thinking that he was going to be the next big major leaguer. Obviously that didn't. No, he either he left before I got out there or just.
I was gonna say I don't know what Corey Vaughn is, so he must not have done too much in the majors.
Yeah, never made it there. I don't think he he tore it up in single A and then got to double A and just wasn't good. But he was Mo Vaughn's nephew.
Shlomo, how old are you?
31.
31. And where did you grow up?
Woodmere.
Woodmere. Where did you go for high school?
Rambam.
So, did you play on the? Yeah.
That's what? Like most of the half the hippos are Rambam guys.
Were you there with was Jared Wiesel there when you were there?
He was there. He was a grade older than me, or 2 grades older than me.
2 grades older than you. So who from your team was at Rambam with you? Brian.
Brian, Jared, Aryeh Corman. I think that's it from this year. Last year that we had a lot more guys.
What happened? Where'd those guys go?
Either residency, got had a child, didn't want to play softball, things like that.
All right,
got it. So when did you start? When did you start playing baseball or softball?
I started really young age. So I grew up. So I'm one of 15 children. I have 7 brothers.
Oh, so, okay.
You should have led with that, David.
Yeah. So playing baseball was always we're huge Mets fans. And so we're always going to games, and then in our front lawn just having catches or practicing ground balls, things like that. So I was always obsessed with baseball and softball. Wasn't always good at it, but always loved to play it. So in camp I was the guy who everybody would move in for. But I always focused more on defense than hitting. I felt like I could help the team more that way. And then it went from wanting to playing in camp to just always wanting to be out there. So I would go with Usher, my brother, to whatever games he was playing in, and then they would inevitably need another guy. So I would end up in those games. So I was playing at 13 or 14 in these games against grown men, and that's trial by fire, just getting better that way.
I wonder if that also fits with sort of growing up in a large family. I've been intrigued. I have one child who's 2 years, and I'm astonished at how much attention he demands for me and my wife. We love him, but it's and I sometimes look at these large families, and I wonder, how do the parents do it? And I sort of wonder if, to some extent, you're hanging out with your older brothers. They're half raising you. You're making your way in the world at a young age. It's a whole different mindset and mentality, and it sounds like you were doing that at 12, 13 years old, playing with the adults.
Yeah, that. I was so used to dealing with people much older than me. Whenever
what number child are you?
I'm 13.
So
I'm all the way at the bottom.
Wait, so you're 31. How old is the first Ross child?
I think he's 50, 51.
51, so 20 years older than you. And does that one have any kids?
No.
Okay.
The one under that does, but there's none that.
How old is the oldest of the one under that?
I think he's 22.
22.
The oldest. Yeah, the oldest nephew, or no, he's probably 25 now, actually. Okay. But the oldest nephew is 4 months younger than my youngest brother. So we don't have any overlapping, but it's close.
Cute.
Yeah.
But I interrupted you. You were talking about you were
Yes.
just hanging.
Yeah. So like when you like growing up dealing with like siblings that are 20 years older than you or 15 years older than you, you're used to like dealing like hanging out with people much older than you are. And so like when you go to these games, you could be intimidated. Like I was definitely intimidated by some of the guys who I was playing against, but like for the most part, it was just like, oh, this is Usher's brother. Cool. Like he could play. And then like you
Well,
just
also,
get
did you
used to.
have that beard back then? That might have helped the intimidation factor.
I don't think it was this full back then. I think it was
At
little
13.
much
At 13.
like little patches of nothingness at that age.
So little patches of nothingness. So I have a very important message from Ariel Cohn who texted me. He says there is a Ross marrying a Mintz, and the Rosses have 15 kids, and the Mintzes have 17 kids.
Yep.
So who's paying for that wedding?
So it's Aryeh's daughter marrying Chaim Mintz's son.
So
So
it's not a sibling of yours.
it's my niece and Chaim's son. So it was all like if we get Aryeh to play, like if we need a sub this week and Aryeh's our sub, then they're gonna be playing against each other. And then like I don't know what's gonna go on with that with the wedding going forward. might might be a little contentious after that.
very cute. So
The winner, if they play against each other, the loser has to pay for the wedding.
Yeah.
That's very funny. So large family playing baseball. So then you join in. Was your first organized kind of league at Rambam?
No, so there's the shul league on Sunday mornings.
Sure.
So I would so that started probably when I was 14, and there was the first season that Chabad had a team. I wasn't invited to play. I wasn't asked to play. It was more of just like, okay, there's an age limit to play. You have to be at least 18 to play in this league. And then I just showed up to every game and just watched and did whatever they asked me to do, like in between innings or whatever. And then the last inning, the second baseman was like, okay, I'm sitting, and he was the best player on the team. He's like, okay, I'm sitting out, Shlomo, you play second base. And I played, and it happened to be that two of those plays went directly to me. I made the plays that are like, okay, Shlomo, you're in for next season. So, just the persistence paid off.
Have you played on Chabad consistently in the shul league since then, since you were a kid?
Yeah, so since then I did. We won a couple of championships, and then over COVID, a bunch of our guys moved out of the area. So, or right before COVID, a bunch of our guys moved out of the area. So the Chabad team disbanded. So I've moved to the White Shul team since then.
Oh, you're on the White Shul team. I had a question for you about Chabad. I forgot what it was. You're on the Shul league. I don't remember. It'll come back to me. So you were on the Chabad team. That's great. And you won some championships. You were center fielder?
There I was mostly second base, but in the beginning it was second. We won, I think, two of them with me at second, and then one of them I was playing the outfield.
Who was the pitcher for those teams?
Zach Hatton. He's probably when he plays, he's one of the best pitchers in the league. The problem is that
pitches in the league now.
So he's going to be pitching for White Shul this year. Yeah.
Why don't I recognize that name?
He didn't pitch last year. He had a.
Oh, okay. Last year is the only year I played. Okay.
Yeah, he cares more about jiu-jitsu more than softball, so he fits that into his schedule more.
He cares more about what than softball?
Jiu-jitsu.
Jiu-jitsu. Okay.
Yeah. So I grew up.
We have a couple minutes left. I think it's time that we get a prediction from the great Shlomo Ross about Sunday's semifinal matchup with the Robins and the Hungry Hippos. Avi is busting out the official blue notepad.
It's actually
very
green.
official, as Brian called it.
Light green.
Light green.
Looks blue.
This is blue.
That's blue.
This is a blue pen.
The pad matches Shlomo's shirt. He came color coordinated today.
I was ready for it.
All right. So I'm writing your name down.
All right.
And Robins versus Hippos. What you got?
So I think it's going to be a much closer game. I think it's going to be a close game. Pretty tight. I heard some rumors about the Robins and who's missing and how many guys are going to be there by the end of the game.
Don't fall for that. I've played so many games against Ariel in which he's told me I'm missing this guy and that guy, and then I show up and like Matt Rosenberg is there or something. Don't fall for that.
Yeah. Okay. So like my score was gonna be 13-1 Hippos, but now that I'm not falling for it, I think it'll be a 6-4 Hippos win. I think we're gonna hold them to 4 runs. We've been scoring about 4 to 6 runs a game on average. So I think
you're
we're
basically
gonna
calling Ariel Cohn an average pitcher. With some more bulletin board material here, huh?
I didn't say that. I just said we're going to score.
Avi, did you catch, by the way, a subtle moment in yesterday's podcast with Glenn Zuckerman when Ariel came on? Glenn said, you'd be an average pitcher or slightly above average pitcher, which I thought was very high praise.
It was high praise. It's Shlomo to catch you. I don't know if you, when Ariel popped on for like 30 seconds and Glenn sort of like laid the hammer on him really quick, telling him how he's a baby if he doesn't come to the Titan League. But he said in the Titan League, it'd be above average or slightly above average pitcher, which, again, the Titan League has some phenomenal pitchers. Obviously, besides for yours truly, you're talking about Diamondstein, Steve Pollen, Ash, Kaufman, Koenig. Like, these guys are like studs in the Jewish softball world.
Yeah, I think Ariel's like he's throughout the years. So I haven't seen him like since he first started pitching, but throughout the years I've faced Ariel. This year is definitely the year that he's been pitching the best. Like it's more than just throwing the ball and like getting the ball over the plate. Like every pitch has a purpose and like he knows what he's doing with that pitch. So he like you can't sleep on him. But
who to watch out for in the Hippos lineup this Sunday?
I was going to ask that. I'll strengthen that question. Who's going to be the player? Who's going to be the player that makes the biggest difference in Hippos lineup? Who are you predicting comes up with the big hit, the big play, the big catch? It could be yourself.
I think it's going to be Sammy. Last game we moved him up to the 2-hole, and just he sparked the lineup from there. So you had you had to go through Sammy, then Malik, and then Brian. Then you had me, and like I'm the worst out of all of those. So it's just like, but to get through the top of our lineup, and then the bottom of the order, you can't sleep on any of the bottom of the order guys either. Like
who were the guys who were missing last week who you had back for this week?
Gabe Marin, our left fielder, and Ari Corman, who's our right fielder.
Yeah.
So Avi, the question is, do I redo my prediction?
No, of course not. That make you a coward if you do that.
We did it. We already have the 13-1 in our clubhouse.
So
I didn't give a prediction yet, by the way.
Okay, Avi. Have at it.
Although I was persuaded very much, by the Hippos right here, and Shlomo, I'm still gonna give a Robins 9-3 victory.
All right. So I'm looking forward to it.
I have to be honest. I think Ariel comes out with the purpose. I think the Goldenberg's missing will fuel his fire even more. If I'm not mistaken, Ariel's coming off of like 5 straight
shutouts between his two leagues.
So he's coming off of.
So he's due to give up a stinker.
Yeah, he's going to give up a couple runs. I think he's due to give up a couple runs, but I think he'll carry his team to a 9-3 win.
The Hippos are.
I wouldn't be shocked if it's closer, but I gotta be honest.
Yeah, the Hippos are irrepressible, is the word I'll use. They can't be put down. They can't be discouraged. They can't be.
That's right.
Dissuaded, and
they're every game, even no matter like I mentioned the game against the Crew earlier where we were down 9-0 going after the second, how we lost 11-5. Like there's never a moment where we think we're out of the game. Like we're like, okay, we're gonna win the next inning. And that's our focus every inning is we're but we're also going to win.
We got one more prediction from you, Shlomo. We could turn the tables a little bit here. There is another semifinal game going on in the Legacy League, and that is David Gottlieb and Shmuel Reda and the Black Sox versus Jacob Gelb and the Crew. So, we all know...
And Mendy Warsh. Shout out to Mendy Warsh, who disrespected Shlomo Ross.
That's right. He's not the captain. He was an awesome podcast mate.
Avi, who's got the better beard, Mendy Warsh or Shlomo Ross?
Mendy.
I feel like Shlomo's is thicker, but Mendy's is longer. Does that make sense?
I think Mendy's is just well-groomed. Just a really good, solid beard. Mine is just a Chabad beard.
Right. I was gonna say I don't know. If
Oh, now I remember what I wanted to ask you, but you got to go. So first prediction.
Crew versus Black Sox.
So the Black Sox, they played us super tight, and it was like that was game that was decided in the ninth inning.
Yeah.
Which I like. They're a super tough team. And then the Crew, they got out to that huge lead in the beginning, and then after that, like slow down a little bit. So I think that's also going to be a great game. I still think the Crew pulls that one out like 5-3. I think it's going to be a very tight game, a very good game. But either one of those are going to be a tough matchup for us in the championship. So we're looking forward to beating the Robins and whoever we face then. But I think it's going to be a 5-3 Crew win.
Shlomo, the last thing I was going to ask you was, do you have any connections? We mentioned this in an earlier podcast. Any connections in Crown Heights to help us get a Chabad team down to the HSL?
So I have connections with the Crown Heights, not necessarily in the softball world, but I could try to use those connections to try to get to the softball.
There is one Chabad team who plays in Coil League in the fall, and they play like nights, I think, also like in the summer. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. I forgot the guy's name. I could probably look it up after. I was trying to get them to come to the spring league. They're like, no, it's too far, the drive. I'm like, you're talking 25 minutes to on a Sunday morning.
Just let them know they could go to the OHEL beforehand or afterward. It's 15 minutes away. It's perfect location.
Right. Okay.
All right. That's perfect. That's a good pitch. Let's get that on the flyer, Robbie. All right, Shlomo, thanks so much for coming
50 minutes from the OHEL.
Yeah, thanks so much for coming on to the very first Let's Go Emergency Podcast. Pleasure to have you, and good luck on Sunday, and hopefully we'll see you in the championship on June 16th, right?
Looking forward to it.
Thanks, Shlomo. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Bye, guys.
Bye.